What is going on? It is Craig Bender and Jarrell Cully with GravityCerts, and we are doing a Revolutionizing the Insurance Web podcast. So we're just going to pretty much talk about the trip that we are having, the content that we're shooting, the value that we're looking to bring to the insurance industry through GravityCerts. GravityCerts is such an amazing company that can revolutionize your insurance agency website. When it comes down to automation, forms, quote forms, what we're seeing a lot inside of the insurance industry at this moment is such a influx of, it's like in the middle ground. It's like the old way of doing it. You have like a medium hybrid, and then you have the agencies that are full blown, going fully automated. So if you want to just share some light from your perspective of what you're seeing, how you're able to help, and where you really think that the insurance web is going from this point forward.
So there's a lot happening in the insurance space right now, especially with technology and how AI is evolving very rapidly. You know, traditionally insurance has been way behind. You know, the kind of joke around was it's a decade behind everything else. That's kind of been the theme for a long time, and now it's catching up very quickly to other industries outside of insurance, that are on the cutting edge. Insurance is now finally starting to catch up, which is a good thing. It's great for agencies, great for agents to utilize technology in their office, in their day-to-day, so that they can be more efficient with what they're doing, offer better service to their clients. And that's really the end game for everybody. We want to deliver faster, better service to our clients to make them happy.
I love that. So, and with the amazing trip that we're having and the content that we're creating, I know a little bit about what you're doing, but for the audience, if you want to be able to share, what is GravityCerts' main mission, and what are you doing to really revolutionize the web for insurance agencies, companies, independent brokers, the whole nine?
Yeah, so GravityCerts, what we're doing is using your website as a foundational tool that we leverage everything off of. There's so many different services, it's really easy to get fragmented as an agency. It's that shiny object syndrome. There's so many different things out there, but what everybody needs is a website. That's your common ground, that's your handshake out to the public. When they Google or use ChatGPT and you pop up, that's going to be one of the first things that they see. All right, everybody starts with a Google search. So going from there, we're going to turn that website for the agency into a tool for them to gather lead information, gather full application information, even present quotes to their clients in a meaningful way that the client can understand. That way it's a nice presentation tool. Because so many times I've seen through so many years of experience where the client doesn't understand insurance at all. They don't know what they're saying. They're busy running their business, they're taking care of their family, they're doing other things. Insurance is the last thing on their mind. But you're there to help coach them when they need it, or to help educate them on the policy coverages that they need in order to, sleep good at night. That's the thing, right? It's sleep good at night.
Absolutely. And so when we're talking about the client and the perspective that you just shared, it's the client for the insurance agency, right? We want to make sure that the end client is having such an amazing experience where they're going on the insurance agency's website, they're getting all the information, they realize, wow, this agency has the ability to really help me be able to cover my business, my home, my auto. So then from that point, they would be able to be on that agency's website, go through the forms, provide the data on a secured platform, and then for that information to then be passed to the insurance agency, very seamless. So now instead of having that initial first conversations and collecting the information, we're actually bypassing that process, getting the information, being able to review it, as insurance professionals are the advisors, right? They have to look at the information. That's the first ground of underwriting, to be able to review it and say, okay, now that I have this information, which market am I going to? How am I going to market this? How am I going to make sure that all the gaps are filled with insurance? So you're bypassing that initial first step by collecting the information, allowing the agents to really be a true professional, so that way they're reviewing the applications, and then if everything looks correct, now they already have completed applications from the client's perspective of what they already completed, to then be able to pass that off over to the insurance company to be able to obtain an actual quote. I think what's interesting about GravityCerts is how it doesn't just go to the application for it to then be submitted to the carrier. The information, once it gets inputted into those online forms, it's going to their CRM system, it's going to their AMS system, it's going to all the places that it needs, instead of copying and pasting it and putting it in so many different forms, which I absolutely love. And something that you touched upon just before was the fragmented systems. So many insurance agencies have fragmented systems that they have this software for this software for that, this software for this. So what GravityCerts does is they're able to automate that whole process, if I'm understanding this correctly, where you have a client, the end client, meaning the insurance consumer, to be able to then fill out a piece of information and assist the agent with doing everything that they need to do without having to go from system to system. GravityCerts solves that solution by integrating all into one, which I think is an absolute beautiful tool. And now feeding off of that, from GravityCerts perspective, where did this all come from? Where was the mindset behind it? And where was the real demand that was needed for you to say, you know what, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to build it, and this is going to be the solution for insurance professionals?
So it really all originated from our own agency that I had with my wife. We had it for many years. She was an agent for many years, had multiple agencies. And when we started this new agency, we had to do handwritten apps, PDFs, handwrite everything down or fill it out on the computer, manually copy and paste things into all of our different systems. And each client took forever just to get prepped, copy all that information into all of our systems so that we could actually start doing our job, start quoting, start sending it out to the carriers. It was a couple hours of work just to get to that process where we could start. So by sitting and looking at our processes, we looked around to try and see if there was other systems out there that would shorten that gap of us being able to actually go and send the information from the client out to the carrier. We wanted to narrow that down to minutes, not hours. So we looked around, and there really wasn't anything out there. So with me as a web developer background, being a coder myself, I just decided to code it myself. Build it all custom from scratch for our agency. And that's where we found out through going to other conferences, other insurance conferences, that there really was a demand out there that just nobody was able to provide the solution for. So we just talked with other agency owners, and they just were like, holy crap, we want what you have. Whatever you're doing, I want that. So, because it took everything that they were doing and shortening that span of being able to actually service their clients and send a quote back within minutes, or maybe an hour, very quickly, instead of just typing in data information. And that's what's so tedious too, and it's prone to errors when you're copying data over from one system to the next. It's really easy to transpose letters and things, so you have less data entry. It basically eliminates data entry or duplicate data entry, because we can take the website and use that as the tool to collect the information as your singular hub. And then like a bike spoke wheel, it can go out to all of your different platforms from there, with your website being your singular hub where all the data is collected initially. And then from there, it goes out to all your different platforms or different services that you're using.
I absolutely love that. And something that I'm going to just kind of reel back in is so on par with this setting. We are at an amazing beach in Maui, Hawaii, and just to be able to illustrate how relaxing and calm it is when working with GravityCerts, and understanding that this process, it's not high ticket sales, it's not, hey, we want to do as many websites as humanly possible, because something that you mentioned was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you're going to these insurance conventions and you say, hey, there is a demand for this because there's nothing really out there that's like your solution. I don't think the demand is the solution of the website, rather the family-owned business behind it, with the understanding that the demand came from an actual real scenario that said, hey, we need a process to be able to speed up the application process, the quoting process, the information transfer process. So that's the demand where you created it from. the demand for the insurance industry, yes, everyone needs something like this, and there's not many companies out there, but when you're working with a family-owned agency or a family-owned company that's originated from a family-owned agency, what we're looking at is the aspect of a real solution, real provider. I mean, just to even speak, that's what we do, right? Like this is, I can only do what I do from a perspective of inside the insurance industry because I already have the background. And I think that that's what's important of why picking GravityCerts as your website provider, because when you need the forms, you need the quotation forms, you need the data collection forms, when you need all that information, even the terms and conditions, it's already been created for other insurance agencies, and certain information is 100% transferable. It comes down to the perspective of insurance, right? We can look at something as simple as an auto quote or something as complex as a huge international commercial auto quote, right? All the questions and the information are, I would say, about 90 to 95% across the board for every single company, but there are that select 5%, 10% of the companies that have their own personalized questions, but that just comes on a case-by-case basis. But what you're doing is you're not sharing the data for your new clients. It's whatever companies that they're appointed with, whatever information, their generic forms that says, hey, we need to collect the basic information to get started and understand which direction you need to go, so that way we can get them the most help, right? So from that perspective, I really think that you're onto something. And for a company that I want to know a little bit about, not so much about GravityCerts' solution now, but from your perspective and talking to your prospects, the clients, how often do you see that an insurance agency updates their current website that's not with your services at this very moment?
I see their websites, they look like they're from the early 90s, early 2000s. They're old, dated, very old school design, not user friendly. You just open it up instantly and you can just tell, like, this is an old site.
Yeah,
It hasn't been touched in years.
Absolutely. Like, I think it goes into, a website goes into a insurance agency owner's first initial thought, I would say within the first 6 months of opening up their company. Then they're looking at production, processes, scaling, growing, maintaining. And from that point, I think that over the years, the thought of their website kind of gets diluted because it's out of sight, out of mind, right? So now from that perspective, bringing it all the way back, how often should an insurance agency owner really be looking at their website and updating their website?
Most of our clients, they're using their website as their central hub for lead gen, for managing their clients. So they're in there daily. They're using their website daily. They're sending the links out to their clients daily. Their agents are sending links. They're using quote proposals within the website. So it just becomes a daily process that they're using. It's just part of their workflow. Like turning on the computer and then they open up their email account. It's the same thing. They open up their browser and they go to their website and they use that. It's a day-to-day process. And then while they're in there, they're actively thinking about the website too. And then they'll make tweaks and changes to it just while they're in there, while they're using it, because they're thinking at it, it's more top of mind.
Absolutely, I love that. And just to kind of touch upon that, for the audience, right? For your perspective of what we're doing and what we're talking about, none of this is scripted. This is coming from passion on both ends, right? So when we look at the perspective of why should you choose GravityCerts for your website development is purely based on the fact that, like, you understand what it is that you're doing. You're able to talk about it. You're able to go back through clips and know that, hey, what I'm saying is legit because it's repetitive, right? It's the story, it's the process. The process and the story don't change when you have a very authentic approach to, hey, I'm just trying to help as many insurance professionals as possible, because something that you touched upon is that the same way that when you come into your office, you turn on your computer, you should be opening up your website the same way that you should be opening up your email. Tell us a little bit about what should be in your website or on your website that will actually provide a good reason of why an agency owner should be going to their website every single morning.
One thing, it needs to be clean, engaging, clear calls to action. A lot of people that are searching for insurance, they're older and they're not tech savvy. You need to be able to give them the information that they need right away so that they're not hunting around for it, right? Like contact information, your office, your hours, how to get a quote, where to get a quote, what type of quote. Just make it blatantly obvious. Right there, they can one click go to what they need as soon as they pop up on the website. They don't have to scroll or look down in the footer, or they don't have to go to multiple pages. They can just see what they need to see right there, front and center, as soon as they land on the site. But also make it easy to navigate and then just clean aesthetically. You know, just a clean, beautiful website, nice imagery, nice clean logos, good fonts, colors, and contrast too. All of that plays into the subconscious eye when we look at a website, and we immediately have that thought process of, I trust this person or not. So with us, we build the website so it immediately builds trust. It's easy to navigate and people can just one click do what they want to do. And that's what really helps with our clients to be able to get those leads effectively, because they immediately build trust. And so someone's going to click and they're willing to give all of their information, right? Insurance requires a lot of information to be able to do your job. So and a lot of times you have to get very personable with people, and you know a lot of their ins and outs about their family or their business that even their friends or family don't know. But because you're building that trust with them. And that's what's really important, is having that trust.
Absolutely, and something that I always say is that what we do, and especially anything inside the insurance industry, it is a commodity, right? It is a commodity because you can go to any insurance agent and get insurance. You can go to any website developer and get a website, right? Not a good website, maybe not a bad website, but you can get a website. What it comes down to is exactly what you just said, is that sometimes as a insurance provider, you know more about their exposure than their actual family, certain things, but that's how it should be. And why I say that it is a commodity is because when you really think about it, because you can go to anyone, why is it you? Why should I come to you for my website? Why should I come to you for insurance? Why should I come to you for marketing? What it comes down to is having that relationship, having the understanding, the empathy, the emotional intelligence, the business intelligence, the expertise to be able to really guide that individual for success. And I always do this one practice with anyone that's on my team. I've done it with multiple different avenues, and it's like when you do a times table, right? And we'll do the times table 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, 2 times 5. And what you do is every single time for 2 times 3, I'll write 7, or maybe I'll write 5. Granted, I know it's 6, but what the concept is before you get to the other multiples, you're going to get the individuals that say, hey, that is wrong, that's wrong, like, oh, you do not know math, or hey, you made a typo, you made a mistake, because it really takes one mistake to bring you way all the way back down to 0 credibility. So it's important to go slow, have your processes right, have someone on your team that can handle your website and handle the process that it really does take to make sure that from that first line of defense of, hey, this is who we are, right? Because they say you can't judge a book by its cover. 100%, everyone is judging an insurance agency by their website. They're judging your company by the website. I'm sure so many people look at my website and they say, what is this, a clothing brand store? But it's because of the updates, right? It's okay to also understand that it doesn't matter about the perspective that you're providing when specific clientele is not coming from that source. And then when you're ready to open up that floodgate, yes, you want to make sure that it's presentable. You want to make sure that it is ready for engagement. So I think that you do a really good job. I will say, just to kind of give some context, how I met Jarrell was through an amazing association. It's called the Agents Brokers United Association. And I've been working with them for about a little over 2 years. We do their marketing. We help with the consulting of, hey, we should position the marketing this way, or we need to update it. Let's make posts this way for their association. And one biggest thing was that their website was outdated. I love you, Ricky and John. The website was outdated, and we had multiple conversations on it. I don't know how you guys were introduced, but I know that I was introduced when I got a link or I got a text from Ricky, and it was like, hey, let me know what you think. And I click on it, and it was just such like an uplift of what they had. Like, excuse this simile, but it was like a boob job for a website. Like, it was incredible. So from that perspective, really what it was like, oh my goodness, like this individual knows websites, everything's there. I'm looking at certain things. Some companies or some clients also, and this is something that I would love to go down a little bit of a hole with, is that some clients don't learn themselves. They're coming to individuals for their expertise. So if they say, hey, I want this website, sometimes you're just buying a template and now it's a copy and paste, and it's like, but the perception is that because you didn't do your own research, you don't know that you're buying a template because you didn't ask to not have a template. There's a huge price difference in a template versus a custom feature, and now there's typos, there's misspells, there's no clear audit process to go through a checklist to make sure this website is presented. And there's no worse feeling than having a client give you a call and say, hey, I was looking at your website for information, but do you know that this word's typed wrong? Or hey, do you know that this paragraph makes 0 sense, or the word insurance is spelled wrong? So there's so many different ways that the process can go, but with you, your process is very smooth. It's like the setting that we're at is that it's very relaxing. We're gonna make sure that everything is done correctly. We're not looking to rush the process. It's quality over quantity. That's how you know, and that's how you should be picking your providers, for them to then be able to assist you with whatever services there are, right? So the point of the podcast isn't just to sell, hey, this is GravityCerts, use them for your website. It's understanding character and understanding that we have the understanding of what goes into the process of why they should be choosing you, or you should be choosing us to be able to work for you with the services that are provided. So thinking about a little bit about the business side, now from a personal side, right? Let's step into a very cool perspective. You don't own a website development company, and you have, let's just say, an insurance agency. From your perspective, when you're reaching out to a website developer, what kind of questions should you be asking that new website developer for them to say, hey, I'm going to make sure that I'm getting the best bang for my buck for my new website?
One of the main things just right off the bat is, do they have experience in insurance? Do they understand the lingo? Do they know different policy coverages? Are they around the space enough? That's huge, because any website developer can obviously create a website, but it's knowing the context around the website to create the content effectively and create that storyline and the communication so that it resonates with the client. If they have no idea about what general liability is, or what comprehensive is, or PIP, if they have no idea what that is and they're relying on the agent, that then puts all that burden on you as the agent to come up with all that content and explain it effectively so that it resonates with the client. And that's what a lot of agency owners, they just don't have time to do that. You're busy running your business, you're getting leads, you're taking care of your team. You don't have time to sit there and create a storyline. I mean, granted, you can use AI now, but it still involves having a person look at the content to be accurate, not have the AI voice, right? So you have to be able to spend that time if you're not going to use someone that has any sort of insurance experience when you're choosing a web developer. Just be prepared to do a lot of the legwork yourself.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to put the two similes together, right? Here it is. Insurance agency owners barely have time to train new employees from scratch, and that's why a lot of them look for experienced employees, for them to come in already knowing their stuff. It's like a dream come true, right? Until it happens and they realize you can't break old bad habits, right? So sometimes it's better to train from scratch. However, if they're an employee for your company, it's a solid investment. If you have to try to teach a vendor that's providing you a service, insurance, for them to help you with what you're looking for from them, you're already off to a bad start. So exactly what you're saying, Jarrell, is that it's the concept of like, does that individual have insurance experience, and what kind of insurance experience do they have? So you almost have to go into, before working with a vendor, the interview process, not just saying, hey, this is recommended, or hey, this, I found them online, I just want to ask some questions, because in every niche, right now I'm going to step a little bit outside of the insurance world. In every niche, there are individuals that can provide different vendor-like services to you with that expertise inside of that field. And that is huge. Sorting, filtering, and finding those individuals, it's a dream come true, because now you can really have the collaboration that you need to ensure that it is successful. I mean, how many times do we go through a project, or we start a project and it never gets finished because it ends up being way more work? Like, I refuse for that to ever happen. I mean, I think I cut that off 3-4 years ago, because it's doing the research, it's creating the plan, it's creating that skeleton foundation or the skeleton structure to then be able to say, hey, this is how we're going to champion the project. This is what we're going to now need to do if we want this from start to finish, this project to run as smooth as possible. But you need to do that in certain scenarios. But now what you're saying is that for your website, they don't need to do that with you, right? Because you already have that process, you already have the structure, you have the framework. So now it's like, hey, let me take you with us, so that way we can give you an experience of what the process should be like. The same way that we walk into some of the resorts here and it's white glove treatment, they're handing you water, they have the red carpet rolled out, they're grabbing your bags. It's because that is real service, and it doesn't come from necessarily just paying for that treatment like we were talking about. It comes from the level of expectations that they hold for their organization to say, regardless, even if we have a discount this whole week and we're charging a fraction of the price of what it would be to stay here, they're still providing you that level of service, because it comes from an expectation, not from a, hey, you pay for this, we're going to offer you that. So I think that that is truly how we can play certain roles of saying, hey, this company, GravityCerts, this company, Insure You Too, it's providing that level of service to say, hey, this is the baseline expectations. At minimum, this is what you're getting. Now, if you pick a higher tier process, yes, you are getting more than what you can even imagine, because that's what we want to do for you, right? At the end of the day, every business needs to make money to stay in business. If you pay more, you're going to see a better cost in production. If you pay less, you're going to get a lower cost production. Now it comes down from the general conciseness of the individuals with the expectations of paying lower and wanting more, or paying higher and wanting less. Never happens, right? So paying more, you should always want bare minimum or even a little bit higher. But even when it comes down to websites, it's you get what you pay for, and the value really comes down to the individuals that are behind it that can really make their dreams come true. So now for the high-end client, for the high-end insurance agency owner, talk to us a little bit about the perspective of, hey, this is what we can do for you to take you from here to here. This is how we can get you to the next level via a tool on your website.
So we'll really take the time to work with those larger agencies to really help scale their processes or fine-tune their current processes if they have them, to really make it so that it's easy for their agents, their whole team, especially larger agencies are going to have a large team. And when you bring something new into that team, there's always going to be a bit of pushback. Because everybody's used to doing the same thing, they do their same processes, and then it's sometimes hard to introduce something new. But we'll make that process easy for you, make it so that there's not a whole lot that they have to do to adjust their process. And especially once they start seeing the results from that process, that it's so much easier and faster and saves them time. The team members are it's just a lot easier to jump on board when they're like, okay, that's going to make my job easier. you know. So we work with not just the owner, but we'll do group team meetings with the team or the account managers, key agents, especially some of the main agents for different lines of business, that they focus on, so that everybody's on board with what's happening in the process of getting the new website. So with all of our large agencies, it's not like the owner just makes that executive decision. They say, okay, we're doing a website, and everybody just kind of has to follow suit, and they kind of do it begrudgingly, and then they don't want to use the tool, and then it's kind of a waste of time for everybody, right? We want to get everybody on board so that they're all using the tool so that everybody can be successful. And that's one of the main things. We want everybody to use the tool. So, and then once they start using it, they start seeing the success from it, and then they start getting client feedback that it's a really amazing tool, makes their lives easier. So then the agents a lot more ought to use it, because now they're seeing the results from their clients and they're getting feedback from their clients. So then they're like, okay, I definitely have to use their tool, and that becomes just a daily process. So that's one of the main things that we really try and do with larger agencies. And then because we're also working with the team, we get all of their feedback, because obviously as the business owner, you're not always in the day-to-day handling what each individual employee is doing. Some of these employees come up with great ideas that we've implemented into the website, and it didn't come from the agency owner. And those were great opportunities for that agency to grow and succeed, and have that employee take ownership of their ideas. And it was a great thing to see that.
So now, do you think in a experience, not in experiences that you've had personally, but I mean, I'll say it in a way that sometimes agency owners, because your name is being the one that's written on the checks, because you are the one that is making the final say, I think that there's a little bit of an ego play that, of course, they want what you want, and that's completely understandable. But like what you just said, that like the real feedback and how your company was built was off of real demand. If the agency owner is not involved in the day-to-day activities, I think it's almost structuring the process, going into contract with a company like GravityCerts, but then allowing your team to work with GravityCerts, allowing your team to work with the vendor to be able to architect the solution and see what's really going to help them. Because I think the biggest issue inside of any industry is the ability to change the process that we've been doing for many, many years, right? So when you're already used to the systems and processes, yeah, there might be an easier way of doing it, but when we think about an easier way of doing it, that also results into change. And change, sometimes there's problems, sometimes there's hiccups, but it's allowing the team, the individuals that would benefit most from the website build, to be able to work with you directly for you to build out the solution that's going to best help them. So I do appreciate that. I like that. I think
it's to the level of customization that we'll do for our agencies, even with a lot of the basic designs, but especially with larger agencies, customizing the site for each agent. A lot of times we'll set up unique landing pages for specific agents, so that agent can take ownership of this portion of the website. And it's their thing, it's their baby, where they can share links out with their clients or leads, and it, have their profile picture on there, have the forms on there, so they can send their information directly to this specific person. Like, I'm John Smith and I'm working with this client. I'm going to send you my personalized link from our website to you, so you can fill out your information and send it directly to me. And that's what's been a really nice thing with these large agencies, having those personalized intake forms for each of their agents.
Let me paint you a picture. You have an individual, his name is John Smith. John Smith runs your commercial auto division. John Smith can have his own custom landing page inside of your agency that's going to have forms, applications, process, product guidelines, underwriting manuals, but also it can be used as a lead tool for John Smith to then take that landing page, share it with his audience, share it with their potential clients, be able to utilize it as a tool to grab all of the streamlined documentation, to complete documentation there, for that to then go into your CRM system, your AMS system, potentially even a quoting platform. So that's what we're talking about, and that's what's being, like, if I could paint the picture of exactly what you just said, it's brilliant. But now taking it from the perspective of, let's just imagine this. You're gonna go back, you're gonna reach out to your current website developer, may take a day or 2 days to get a response back from them, and you're gonna say, hey, I watched this amazing podcast, and this is what I want this, I want that. It's not that easy. It does not work that way, in a way of creating from scratch and saying, hey, I want this illustration. When you can come to a website developer, a company that has the ability to copy and paste and already provide you the templates, because it is a lot of work, but once you do it, you pretty much have it, and then it's staying on a routine of updating it, making sure it's always up to date, so on and so forth. So I don't necessarily think that the best maneuver would be to go back to your current website developer and ask for the change, rather than ask them, hey, this is what my thought is, this is where my head's at, what would a cost for this project be, right? Have them use it as a consultant, because I'm not someone that says, hey, I just want to take you from where you currently are, right? If you have a relationship with your current vendor, exhaust that relationship. However, if that relationship is, or that vendor is solely for the purpose of your best interest, then they will have absolutely no problem advising you and saying, hey, we're not able to do it. If there is someone that can do this, I recommend you trying them, and maybe you include them in the process because they were the original vendor, which I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem with, because you have to transfer everything over. But something that we spoke about is that sometimes in business, there's individuals let their emotions get to them, which is not a very good thing. You have to really be able to take the emotion out of it, and you don't want to prematurely say, hey, I'm going to GravityCerts, or I'm going to this website provider. You don't, because maybe they shut down your website, maybe they make it difficult. That's not what we do. This is a very seamless, easy, what's the saying? You got to go motion with the ocean. Like, look at it. This is what we're all about. Calm, relaxing. We just want to be able to provide the most value to you as a insurance professional, a owner inside the insurance industry, to be able to give back to your clients and keep this industry thriving. So if you would like to add anything particular, if you want to speak about anything, if there's a message that you really want to hit home that maybe we can have a conversation about, not saying that it has to be controversial, but if you feel some type of way, it's super important to be authentic and transparent with how you feel and what your thoughts are, and we can talk about it, so that way the audience has the ability to listen to your thoughts, hear you out, and really be able to understand your perspective.
At the end of the day, we're here for our agents. Our whole goal is to help you grow as an agency. That's the whole thing. And what we're doing is using your website, obviously, to make that process a reality for you. But for you, as an agency owner, it is a tool. And every tool that you use for your agency should either make you money or help save you money. In this case, GravityCerts does both. So then it's a win-win either way. You're gonna make money using it, you're gonna save money using it, you're gonna save employee hours, you're gonna be more efficient. And that's what we want to do. We want to see your agency grow, we wanna see you happy, we wanna see you not have to work 80 hours a week and grind it out. We wanna see you spend time with your family. We wanna see you go to the beach and come on vacation, play golf with me. All those fun things, and not be in the daily grind all the time. Because that's what I hear the most when there's a new agency. It's just grind it out for the first 5 years, grind, work 80 hours. Your family life suffers, your work life suffers. There's a better way. Just get the right processes in the beginning. If you're already an existing agency and you're going through that right now and you're going through that grind process, definitely reach out to us, talk to us. We want to help smoothen that transition so you're not grinding anymore. So take the time to find the processes that are going to work for your agency, and use the tools that are already built that we've provided for you to be able to make that transition and that process run much more smoothly.
I love that. And if I can add on to anything that you just said, brings me to this one word. I don't know if it's an actual real word, but the word has always resonated with me for many, many years, but it's Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. When you're working with GravityCerts, it's something that you want to be able to transfer the amount of time and energy spent in a direction that's not revenue generating tasks. You want to be able to give that to someone like GravityCerts to let them handle that process, so that way you can work on revenue generating tasks. Now, if I can add any type of 2 cents into exactly what you're saying, is that when it comes down to that, you have to grind it out for the first 5 years. You don't necessarily have to do it because of the website. You are right. but at the same time, what we're talking about is grinding it out with other things besides your website, but besides your automation, besides trying to figure that out. You want to figure out how to drum up more business. You want to create a marketing strategy. That's where Insure You 2 comes into play. But from the general sense of like grinding it out, the website alone, how long would it take for an average person to build a whole website?
To build what we have, probably 5 or 6 years, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in development time, because we have many years of custom development for just for a basic website. All the content, there's over 1,000 pages worth of content just in itself. Just creating the content can take months to do, and then creating nice style landing pages for each of those pages of content, that could take several days just for each of those.
That makes perfect sense. Yes, you have to understand where costs are going. You have to think about, okay, like, do we have the budget to do this? But there is a level of sacrifice in any business that you have to take a gamble. However, what we believe is from a general thought process of that you have to take a gamble, but make it an educated decision. Analytical decision. Make it so that way it makes sense. Make it make sense, right? So keeping it very simple, keeping the process smooth. At the end of the day, there's only one way to really do insurance, and it's the right way. And when you have the right way automated and in a way that is easiest for the client, the agent, the underwriter, the claims adjuster, the billing department, and every other service part that is involved in that process, GravityCerts is the solution for you to start with your website. So if you're looking to open up a new insurance agency, you're looking to revamp your insurance website, this is the company that you want to deal with. We're going to be assisting our clients to market their business. But then once they get to their website, it's like there could be a huge drop off in click-throughs, or now looking at the analytics. We're huge with analytics. It's a very simple math, a very simple equation. When we talk about how many different marketers there are, this person can help you with this market. Like, for example, you can have a CMO of a tech company, but then they're outsourcing their marketing to a third-party marketing company that's just paying for you to get pushed through the algorithm, but there's no real context. There's no real story. Why would someone want to do business with a individual that there's no depth to it, right? There's no reason of saying, hey, this is a commodity, I want to work with this person. In reality, what is that story? Social media, marketing aspect, it is the most realist that you can get, because when you're really sitting there and you're talking and you're thinking and this gets posted on social media, it's on the internet. It is never going anywhere. And when you look at it from a consistency basis of multiple different topics being spoken about, it's like, what is the accuracy rate of everything that was spoken about, and how does everything align to the origin of, hey, this is what I originally said, but now I'm saying this, but now I'm actually backtracking on this. There's none of that, right? Because marketing is pure, it's organic, it's authentic. That's why you see individuals go through the roof, they go super viral. Perfect example is like someone will say, why don't you see marketing coming from our team, right? Or my personal pages. I'm scaling my personal business insurance Instagram, right, by stories. I haven't posted an actual insurance post, like an Instagram post, in probably 60 to 90 days. And my viewership is up by like 20,000% just from Instagram stories. And it's like, how? It's because it's organic. It's the way that we do certain things. So it's not going with the standard process of just taking these posts. We look at it from a very deep metric of understanding what does the audience want, what does the client want, and we look at conversions. We don't care about the viewership. We don't care about the likes, the comments, the shares. Yes, those are all very important parts, and we do care about it for what we want to care about it for in retrospect, but however, we care about the finished product. So if those likes, comments, and shares is what's going to get us to where we need to be, then yes, now we're going to take interest into it. But if we're getting a ton of click-through and we're getting a ton of demos booked and a ton of engagement without there being likes, comments, and shares, then I think it's working, right? Like at the end of the day, like we're just looking at the final solution, and that's what we care about. And sometimes times, and in most cases, it's not always perceived through what everyone can see. It's the back end analytics that we really look at. And doing a production like this, doing something in the sense of the out of the norm, it's going to catch attention. It's going to resonate with the audience that, wow, there was some effort and there was some real consideration that was put through in the general aspect of, this is what production is. This is what content is. We don't just hire virtual assistants to be able to set this up and edit content. This is real, raw, authentic content brought to you by InsureU2 for GravityCerts. So if you need your website revamped, you want your automations, you loved what we do, you loved hearing what we were talking about, stay tuned. Check out GravityCerts' website, check out their social media platform, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. You're going to see a bunch of great new updated content, so that way you can really have a clear understanding of what you need to do to then be able to go into the year of 2026 on the right page with the right spokes, with the right foundation, and that right centerpiece for your business.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo?
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo. Mahalo. Mahalo.